Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. We are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam by the grace and instruction of our Gurudev, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj. We are also paying our humble Dandavat Pranam to Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada for providing us this wonderful commentary and translation of Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're also praying to Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī by the guidance of Srila Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Yadi sevā-vañcitāḥ syāma yasyāḥ kṛpayā vayaṃ labhema sarvaṃ prāpnumaḥ prayojanaṃ dhāmni śrī-bhagavat pade Kṛṣṇa-sambandhi sarvaṃ Yadi jānīmahe tutam Aṣṭādaśasu sahasreṣu ślokānāṃ bhāgavat-oktiṣu Rādhārānīṃ vindāmaḥ tadā niṣphalaṃ bhagavata yayinam radhikaya kripam vina vyartasyat sarva-pariśramaḥ. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy Dham and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Rādhārānīṃ within the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of Srimad Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī, all of our efforts are in vain. So we are continuing our reading today from a new canto. Now we're in Canto 6. Chapter 1, Text 3. Adharma lakshanana Narakaschanubharnita manvantarascha vyakyata adyasvayam bhuvoyata. You have also described at the end of the 5th canto the varieties of hellish life that result from impious activities, and you have described in 4th canto the first Manvantar, which was presided over by Svayambhuva Manu, the son of Lord Brahma. Texts 4 through 5. Priyavrato tanapadur vamshastach charitani cha dvipavarsha samudradri nadyudyana vanaspatin dharamandala samstanam bhagalakshana manata Jyotisham vivaranam cha yatedam asrajad vibhu. My dear Lord, you have described the dynasties and characteristics of King Priyavrata and King Uttanapad. The Supreme Personality of Godhead created this material world with various universes, planetary systems, planets, and stars, with varied lands, seas, oceans, mountains, rivers, gardens, and trees, all with different characteristics. These are divided among this planet Earth, the luminaries in the sky, and the lower planetary systems. You have very clearly described these planets and the living entities who live on them. Purport. Here the words Yatedam Asrajad Vibhu clearly indicate that the Supreme, the great Almighty Personality of Godhead, carries his entire material world with its different varieties of planets, stars, and so forth. Atheists try to conceal the hand of God which is present in every creation, but they cannot explain how all these creations could come into existence without a competent intelligence and almighty power behind them. Simply to imagine or speculate is a waste of time. In Bhagavad Gita 10.8, the Lord says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, I am the origin of everything. Mata sarvam pravartate, whatever exists in the creation emanates from me. Iti matva bhajantimam, bodhabhava samamvitaha. When one fully understands that I create everything by my omnipotence, one becomes firmly situated in devotional service and fully surrenders at my lotus feet. Unfortunately, the unintelligent cannot immediately understand Krishna's supremacy. Nonetheless, if they associate with devotees, and read authorized books, they may gradually come to the proper understanding, although this may take many, many births. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.19, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavamam prapadyate. Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sadurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes, and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Vasudeva, Krishna, is the creator of everything, and his energy is displayed in various ways. As explained in Bhagavad Gita 7.4 through 5, a combination of the material energy, Umir Apo Nalovayu, and the spiritual energy, the living entity, exists in every creation. Therefore, the same principle, the combination of the Supreme Spirit and the material elements, is the cause of the cosmic manifestation. Text 6. Adhuneha mahabhaga yataiva narakanara nanograyat tanme vyakyatum arhasi. O greatly fortunate and opulent Shukadeva Goswami, now kindly tell me how human beings may be saved from having to enter hellish conditions in which they suffer terrible pains. Purport. In the 26th chapter of the 5th canto, Shukadeva Goswami has explained that people who commit sinful acts are forced to enter hellish planets and suffer. Jai Śrīmatī Maharani Devi Rasi Ki Jai. A Vaishnava is para dukkha dukhi. In other words, he has no personal troubles, but he is very unhappy to see others in trouble. Prahlad Maharaj said, My Lord, I have no personal problems, for I have learned how to glorify your transcendental qualities, and thus enter a trance of ecstasy. I do have a problem, however, for I am simply thinking of these rascals and fools who are busy with Maya Shuka, temporary happiness, without knowledge of devotional service unto you. This is the problem faced by a Vaishnava. Because a Vaishnava fully takes shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he personally has no problems. But because he is compassionate toward the fallen conditioned souls, he is always thinking of plans to save them from the hellish life in this body and the next. Parikshit Maharaj therefore anxiously wanted to know from Shukadeva Goswami how humanity can be saved from gliding down to hell. Sukadeva Goswami had already explained how people enter hellish life, and he could also explain how they could be saved from it. Intelligent men must take advantage of these instructions. Unfortunately, however, the entire world is lacking Krishna consciousness, and therefore people are suffering from the grossest ignorance and do not even believe in a life after this one. To convince them of their next life, It is very difficult because they have become almost mad in their pursuit of material enjoyment. Nevertheless, our duty, the duty of all sane men, is to save them. Maharaj Parikshit is the representative of one who can save them. Text 7. Shri Shuka Uvacha Nached ihaiva pachitam yatam hasa kritasya koryanmana ukta panibi dhruvam savai pretya narakan upaiti ekirtita me bhavatas tigma yatana. Sukadeva Goswami replied, My dear king, if before one's next death, whatever impious acts one has performed in this life with his mind, words and body are not counteracted through proper atonement according to the description of the Manu Samhita and other Dharma Shastras, one will certainly enter the hellish planets after death and undergo terrible suffering, as I have previously described to you. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions that although Maharaj Parikshit was a pure devotee, Shukadeva Goswami did not immediately speak to him about the strength of devotional service. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 14.26, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samitityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Devotional service is so strong that if one fully surrenders to Krishna and takes fully to his devotional service, the reactions of his sinful life immediately stop. Elsewhere in the Gita, 18.66, Lord Krishna urges that one give up all other duties and surrender to him, and he promises, Aham tvam sarva-papebhyo mokshasyami. I shall free you from all sinful reactions and give you liberation. Therefore, in response to the inquiries of Parikshit Maharaj, Shukadeva Goswami, his guru, could have immediately explained the principle of bhakti. But to test Parikshit Maharaj's intelligence, he first prescribed atonement according to Karmakand, the path of fruitive activities. For Karmakand, there are 80 authorized scriptures, such as Manu Samhita, which are known as Dharma Shastras. In these Shastras, one is advised to counteract his sinful acts by performing other types of fruitive action. This was the path first recommended by Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. And actually it is a fact that one who does not take to devotional service must follow the decision of these scriptures by performing pious acts to counteract his impious acts. This is known as atonement. Text 8. Tasmat purai vasviha papa nishkrito yateta mrityur avipadyatatmana doshasya drishtva guru laghavam yata vishachikitseta rudram nidhanavit. Therefore, before one's next death comes, as long as one's body is strong enough, one should quickly adopt the process of atonement according to Shastra. Otherwise, one's time will be lost and the reactions of his sins will increase. As an expert physician diagnoses and treats disease according to its gravity, one should undergo atonement according to the severity of one's sins. Purport. The Dharma Shastras, like the Manu Samhita, prescribe that a man who has committed murder should be hanged and his own life sacrificed in atonement. Previously, this system was followed all over the world, but since people are becoming atheists, they are stopping capital punishment. This is not wise. Herein it is said that a physician who knows how to diagnose a disease prescribes medicine accordingly. If the disease is very serious, the medicine must be strong. The weight of a murderer's sin is very great, and therefore, according to Manu Samhita, a murderer must be killed. By killing a murderer, the government shows mercy to him, because if a murderer is not killed in this life, he will be killed and forced to suffer many times in future lives. Since people do not know about the next life and the intricate workings of nature, they manufacture their own laws, but they should properly consult the established injunctions of the Shastras and act accordingly. In India, even today, the Hindu community often takes advice from expert scholars regarding how to counteract sinful activities. In Christianity, there is also a process of confession and atonement. Therefore, atonement is required, and atonement must be undergone according to the gravity of one's sinful acts. Text 9. Shri Rajo Bhacha Drishta Shrutabhyam Yat Papam Janhan Apyatmano Hitam Karoti Bhuyo Vivasha Prayaschitam Athokatam. Maharaj Parikshit said, one may know that sinful activity is injurious for him because he actually sees that a criminal is punished by the government and rebuked by people in general, and because he hears from scriptures and learned scholars that one is thrown into hellish conditions in the next life for committing sinful acts. Nevertheless, in spite of such knowledge, one is forced to commit sins again and again, even after performing acts of atonement. Therefore, what is the value of such atonement? Purport. In some religious sects, a sinful man goes to a priest to confess his sinful acts and pay a fine, but then he again commits the same sins and returns to confess them again. This is the practice of a professional sinner. Parikshit Maharaj's observations indicate that even 5,000 years ago, it was the practice of criminals to atone for their crimes, but then commit the same crimes again, as if forced to do so. Therefore, owing to this practical experience, Parikshit Maharaj saw that the process of repeatedly sinning and atoning is pointless. Regardless of how many times he is punished, one who is attached to sense enjoyment will commit sinful acts again and again until he is trained to reform from enjoying the senses. The word vivasa is used herein, indicating that even one who does not want to commit sinful acts will be forced to do so by habit. Parikshit Maharaj therefore considered the process of atonement to have little value for saving one from the sinful acts. In the following verse, he further explains his rejection of this process. Text 10. Kvachin vartate badrat, kvachich charati tatpuna, prayaschitam atopartam, manye kunjara sochavat. Sometimes one who is very alert so as not to commit sinful acts is victimized by sinful life again. I therefore consider this process of repeated sinning and atoning to be useless. It is like the bathing of an elephant, for an elephant cleanses itself by taking a full bath, but then throws dust over its head and body as soon as it returns to the land. Purport. When Parikshit Maharaj inquired how a human being could free himself from sinful activities so as not to be forced to go to hellish planetary systems after death, Shukadeva Goswami answered that the process of counteracting sinful life is atonement. In this way, Shukadeva Goswami tested the intelligence of Parikshit Maharaj, who passed the examination by refusing to accept this process as genuine. Now Parikshit Maharaj is expecting another answer from his spiritual master, Shukadeva Goswami. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 11 on Friday. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Tirtha Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Our glorious to the assembled devotees, our glorious to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhaktiveda Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Navadut Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju ki jai, Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham ki jai, Sham Kund Radha Kund ki jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi ki jai, Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki jai, Scientific Sankirtan Yagya ki jai, Princeton Bhakti Vedanta Institute ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mutt Institute, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mutt ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari 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 Bo. Jai Shri Maharani Devi Dasi ki jai.
Jai Krishna Keshav Das Brahmachari ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Gurudev.